Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Today we're going to talk about my favorite makeup brushes. Is he Mr. Right? Check it out. Alright guys, let's get started. So my favorite makeup brushes. Last week I did a video on my favorite go-to beauty products. Go ahead and click the link below and check out that video as well. But today I wanted to talk to you about the brushes and the makeup sponges that I typically like to go and use. And now these are my I can't live without, I know, dramatic, but they are the products that I have to travel with, that I have to apply my makeup with every time I do my makeup. So these are my go-to, my absolute favorite makeup applicators. Let's start off with the face. So the face, I typically use my hands when it comes to primers and moisturizers. But when it comes to foundation, I like to go with the beauty blenders or beauty sponges. Now, my original was my OG, my black makeup beauty blender. But then I kind of went to the Morphe one. I really like this Morphe one because it had that flat end right here in this area space, and then you can use the pointed end for the concealer. You can lay down the setting powder with this flat end as well. But then came the Stands Out Beauty Sponge. This was an innovative, really cool beauty sponge that came to the market not too long ago, and I do have a video. You can click that link below and that will be in the description box as well. A more detailed video of the Stands Out Beauty Sponge. I have been really going more towards this beauty sponge. Now the selling points to this is that you don't have to dampen it every single time. So go ahead and check out that video. I don't want to go too much into depth with that because I want to keep this video relatively short. But when I apply my foundations, I typically use beauty sponges. Now in some cases, like with the Hourglass Vanish Stick or some of the other foundation sticks out there, or even some of the products that typically tend to dry down quickly, you want to go with a brush. It's just easier, it's faster. And if I were to go with a brush, I usually use the Hourglass Vanish brush. I think it's called Vanish brush, but I will have the details below. It might even be called like Flawless Finish brush, but I really like this brush. It is more expensive, but I think you have to be so careful with brushes because some of the brushes that you can use when you're applying foundations can smear, that just doesn't, the consistency isn't there, but this one is really good if you're going to use a brush. And then usually I would go in with like a beauty sponge or a beauty blender and just kind of dab it in and just make sure everything is set perfectly. But those foundations that tend to dry quickly, you do typically want to use a brush when it comes to those kind of products. But for the products that I use, and I use Too Faced Born This Way foundation or Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk, the beauty blender or the beauty sponge, especially the Stands Out Beauty one, works miraculously. It just blends it in so beautifully and so seamlessly. And that's what we want. We want that natural, beautiful finish when it comes to our foundations. Now, as far as setting your, as far as applying your concealers, you definitely, again, want to use a beauty blender or a beauty-like sponge to blend in that concealer. But as far as setting that concealer, I will only use the Stands Out Beauty Sponge. I mean, I love the Beauty Blender, but for some reason, I discussed it in my other video, you can't always get the same consistency when you go in with whatever type product you use. I like, as far as like my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, if I were going to take like that lighter color in there, it's just, I felt like it went on beautifully with the Stands Out Beauty Sponge. So you can set it with that. You can also set it with a brush. And if I were to set it with a brush, I'd go with the Morphe G1. I love this brush. This is also a great setting brush as far as the setting powders go. As far as setting your makeup all over, because I always use the Charlotte Tilbury, as I talked about in my favorite beauty products, I would typically use a more fluffy brush because you don't want anything too dense where it's going to lay too much of that setting powder on. Now that has a little bit of color, that Charlotte Tilbury, so you definitely want to go with more of a fluffy brush. And I like this Morphe MB1, and I will have everything linked in the description box. And it's a nice, beautiful, fluffy brush. I also love, and that's a more affordable one. I also like my It Cosmetics one. This one's a little bit more expensive, but this is a beautiful, beautiful brush. And again, I'll include everything in the description box. But I typically like to set my face with those type of brushes. Now, as far as my eyeshadow, let's just get right into it. So eyeshadow products, I have very specific brushes that I like to use. Going for a no makeup look, then you would go for more of a transition brush because you're just going to use like a bronzer or something really light. As far as like a brown or any color you decide to use is typically going to be like in those bronzy tones, and I would just go with my typical brush that I would use for my transition color, and that is the MAC 224. That is the OG of brushes. I have been using this brush for many, many years, over 2 decades. This brush is amazing. Now, if you are more on a budget and you don't want to spend that much, because I think this brush is around $32, and again, I'll put all the links on the bottom, I would go for the Morphe 441, and I'll try to zoom in there, and this is what it looks like, and I'll have it right here, the picture of that particular brush. But those two are my transition brushes, so either the MAC 224 or the Morphe 441, and I like both of these brushes. They are both really, really good. So transition color, no makeup look, these are the brushes I go to. So once I lay the transition color down, I like to go in with a little bit darker, because remember we're creating that gradient ombre effect. So that little bit darker, but you want to kind of get it really into that crease. And the brush, I cannot live without this brush. I know. Dramatic, I know. But the Smith 235, it has like a pointed tip, as you can tell on the top, and it really, really packs in that color. Now they're more in that middle to high range of brushes, but not too high, but not as affordable as like a Morphe brush. But it is a beautiful brush. It lasts forever, so does the MAC one. So remember that. I mean, yes, the affordable brushes are nice, and Morphe is amazing. They have great brushes for affordable prices, so you can always go that route. But I love these Smith brushes. This is Smith 230. So this one I like to blend out with this brush. When I lay in that crease and I want to go a little bit, you know, kind of like a medium brown color than the darker one, I blend it out with this one. And I love this, so I cannot live with these two. I cannot live without these two Smith brushes. So to really pack in that color. Now, as far as that outer corner V, you're going a little bit more smoky or dark. I love this Makeup Geek Outer V brush. I've discussed this in other videos. This is an amazing brush. So again, linking all the products on the bottom. I forgot to mention what I laid down my base with, and that is my MAC, and I'm going to have to put the number down on the bottom, 195. This MAC 195. I love it, as you can tell, as it kind of like sets to a point. It really can get into those nooks and crannies and really kind of carve out that eyebrow. I love laying my base. In my base, I use the Tarte Shape Tape as my base and just really cleaning up that eyebrows and packing it into the crease and all over. And then I like to set it with this brush. And this is a blending brush by Elizabeth Mott. I love these Elizabeth Mott brushes. They are so amazing. So I like to kind of just blend it out and then also set, like take a setting powder and just set that. And usually I would use the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette to set that, as I mentioned before, that middle color. So, oh my goodness, that just broke on camera. How lovely is that? After I lay down that primer on my eye and I set it, then I'd go in with those transition colors and the little bit darker colors. So those are probably I cannot live without my go-to brushes that I always use to create a more dramatic eye. Depending on the look you're going for will depend on how many brushes you need to carry with you or to have with you. But I like having a good amount of brushes. It's just who I am. I just love it. And then as far as like, you always want to have a brush that you are going to blend everything together, and you typically don't want any product on that. So the brush that I like to use, and this is a more pricey brush, and I'm sure you can find a similar brush with Morphe, a more fluffier brush, is this Chanel number 12 brush. I've had this for over 20 years. I've had this brush. It is amazing, this brush. So I may have spent a lot on it in the beginning, but I have used it so much over the last 20 years, I got my money's worth. So you can find a more affordable one on Morphe. There's a lot of fluffy brushes, you know, I'm sure. You can even take a Morphe 441, like I mentioned before, a clean one, and do the same kind of concept. But I just love that Chanel brush. It's one of my favorite brushes. Now, as far as packing on colors, like in that lid space, and like, I'm talking about like glitters and stuff like that. I really love the MAC. I think this is the 242. Not positive on the number because it's worn off, but I really love this one as far as packing on color. I think MAC has the best ones, even better than the Morphe ones. I also like the MAC. I think this one's 239, I want to say. This is another good for packing the lid or even just getting a little highlight on the top of that brow bone. Now, as far as the inner corner highlight, so whether you take a lighter color in your palette or a actual highlighter to really go in on the inner corners, this is my favorite inner corner brush. This is a Morphe brush. As you can tell, I've used it a lot. And I want to say it's an M168. So again, I'll link everything on the bottom of the description box. So check that out. This is a great inner corner brush. You can also even just pack in that highlight with that brush on the top of below the eyebrow bone. That's another good way to do that because I would typically use the same color as my inner corner highlight as the brow bone highlight. So I kind of use actually probably that one more than I do the MAC one as far as getting that good brow bone highlight. So there are 3 brushes I like to use for the lower lash line. And I don't always create a look for the lower lash line. If I'm doing that no makeup look, I don't do anything there. Or if I'm just doing more of a natural look, even a soft glam natural look, sometimes I don't do the lower area of my eye. But if I am, these are the 3 brushes I cannot create a look without. And this is the Morphe no number brush. I don't know why some of these Morphe brushes don't have any number, but any kind of brush that has a tip like that, you could just go on the Morphe website and look, and you can see right there. It's a wonderful, using like that transition color you use, like the lighter color, and just kind of smoking it out is beautiful with this brush. And then I like to pack on, I don't typically like to use a lot of eyeliners like pencils or gel liners for the bottom area. I just, for my eyes, I like more of the eyeshadow, so I'll go with like a black or a dark brown, and I'll pack it on with this Laura Mercier eyeliner brush, flat liner brush, and this one is so good. I love this brush. Again, I've had this one for years, so yes, I spent a lot of money on it, but it's an amazing brush, and it was worth it because I got a lot of use out of it. Now, Morphe, MAC, they all have them, so I mean, it's just whatever you can find with a flat line brush. This is my go-to brush, but this is the Laura Mercier one. And then I also like to use this Morphe 580, I think it is. And this is a wonderful brush to kind of just blend in everything, so blending in the transition color and the darker color so that you don't have such a stark eyeliner look, that you're just kind of softening it. This is a great brush to use. So those are good lower lash line brushes. Now, as far as the waterline, I typically use an eyeliner for the waterline, and I go with like a beige or a white, depending, like a nude color or a white, just to make your eyes pop because I have smaller eyes. So I definitely like that. I think I'm part Asian, so I think with more almond shape, smaller eyes, you don't want to do too much dark color in the waterline unless you're kind of going for that effect. But if you're kind of going for to like widen your eyes or make them look bigger, you definitely want to go more with the whites or the nudes in the inner waterline. But again, it's preference, so whatever you guys want to do, that's just kind of what I do. Now, as far as eyebrows, and I kind of go in reverse order here because I would do my eyebrows first, but eyebrow pencils, I like the Benefit one the best. I mean, I like the Anastasia one, but I love the spoolie on this Benefit brush, and I just feel like it gives a more natural look with the Benefit brush. So, and it's very sturdy. It's a good brush. So that's what I would use for my eyebrows if I were going to go with the powdered look. Now, I typically go with the pencil because it's just easier and faster for me, but I like to kind of create a little dimension with the powder too. So, and I use the Anastasia powder, so I kind of mix and match a little with my eyebrows. Now, as far as my bronzer goes, I like the Too Faced. Yes, it is. It's called Mr. Right. Love it. This Too Faced brush. It is a wonderful bronzer brush. And really, I just kind of get in with either my Benefit Hula bronzer, and I go in with this one, and then after that I'll take the matte Give Me Sun and just kind of soften it a little. Now, as far as getting that really strong contour look, I love this Laura Mercier brush. I think Laura Mercier just has really amazing brushes. This one's called the Cheek color brush. So you can use it as a blush brush as well, but I feel like it's a little bit denser. And again, I've had this for many, many years. It's actually, I glued it because it was popping off a lot, but I've had it for over 2 decades. I've had this one for a long time, but I really feel like it really gets into that contour of the cheek and really gives you that more dramatic contoured effect. Now again, if I'm going for a natural look, I'm just going to use the Too Faced one. If I really want to like draw and really create that cheekbone, then I will use the matte Give Me Sun with this brush. And then I like to blend it out again with the Too Faced brush. So those are good bronzer brushes. Now as far as blush goes, my favorite blush brush is the It Cosmetics blush brush. And this is a wonderful, It Cosmetics just, oh my goodness, they have the best brushes. I love their brushes. Now they are a little bit more pricey, but they are good brushes and they will last you a long, long time. And as far as blendability, they give you a pretty flawless finish. I really, really love their brushes. Their makeup's good, but I really like their brushes. Now, another good blush brush is this Luxie. Luxie brushes are really good. This is a good little blush brush I like to use too. I typically go with that It Cosmetics one a little bit more. Now, as far as like blending out, if I did like baking, like if I baked my setting powder under on my eyes, I would use this It Cosmetics brush because it is a very light brush and it just kind of really blends everything together. So I really like this brush as well. Again, I'm going to link all these on the bottom. This one's called Airbrush Powder. So I will link everything on the bottom. I always like to go in with the M51 brush just at the very end and just kind of blend in everything and just make sure that there's no harsh lines anywhere. I just feel like this brush is really good for that. So my favorite highlighter brush is this Sigma F35. Oh my goodness, this is the best brush for highlight. I have a lot of highlighter brushes in my makeup collection, but this is my go-to, can't live without. You can go light with it, you can go heavy with it, you can make your highlight go bow with it. You know, that's what I like. I like that bling bling. Here's my highlighter. I'm not that natural. Oh, I just want a subtle highlight. No, I want it to stand out. But if you do like the more natural look, you can still create it with this particular highlight brush. It just lays it on so flawlessly and beautiful. So I think that's it, guys. Those are all my favorite brushes and makeup sponges. Now, as far as carrying my brushes when I travel, I love carrying my brushes in this cylinder type cup because it allows me to, you know, when I close it, here, let me close it. I can close it and I can snap it. And if it works, probably not always good to get white, but I just love white. I love white everything, but because it gets dirty, but nothing a makeup white can't fix. So I love this cylinder makeup brush holder I got on Amazon. So please use the link below and go ahead and get yourself one. This is amazing. Even if you're just at home, this is great to have. Just put it on your table. It's like a leather-like material, and you could just put, you know, the good part is even if you have more brushes that you need to carry, it actually holds a good amount. So let me put all my brushes back. I took them out to do this video, but and I just put the eye ones in there, and I carry a lot more eyeshadow brushes than I even showed, but those are my go-to ones that I use. But yes, it carries a fair amount of brushes in there. So my big makeup brushes aren't, I would only be able to probably carry like 3 or 4 in there, but I love this case, and then I can just snap it and put it in my backpack or my travel bag, and it's good to go. So go ahead and use the link below for that cylinder case. As far as my big makeup brushes, I usually put it in this little zip case that I have, and it has a flap where you can put the bigger makeup brushes in that I love. So I also bought this on Amazon. It has those dividers that keep your makeup nice and organized, which I like, and you can use the link below for that particular makeup case as well. I went with the smaller one. I do have the bigger one, but the zippers break a lot on those. I don't know why, but the smaller one I haven't had as many problems with, and I like it because I can just throw it in my my carry-on, so it's nice. Where the big one is, that's a whole nother carry-on in itself, and I just don't have enough. I don't have enough time for that. So enough space for that. They don't allow me to carry on that many bags, unfortunately, and I always carry my makeup on when I travel, and I travel a lot. Alright guys, I think that's it. So those are all my favorite brushes and makeup applicators. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to go to my website, GlamFIT Collection. These are my crop tops. I hope you guys like them. I did a more detailed description of my new product line on the last video, so go ahead and check that out. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give it a big thumbs up. Check out my other videos, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks guys, bye!